watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Top stories. Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri condemns a federal government's maritime protection policy. Plateau State University, Bokos announces resumption of academic activities after Christmas and New Year break. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party during the February 25, 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, kicks against what he describes as federal government's disturbing pattern of huge borrowing and frivolous spending on non-essential procurements. Details coming up shortly. Right, welcome back. I am Omo Ifepeace Osemere. Now let's begin with the governor of Bayelsa State, Doye Diri, who has criticized the federal government's maritime protection policy of engaging non-state actors to secure the maritime environment of the country. Diri stated this yesterday when the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, paid him a courtesy visit at the government house in Yenagoa. The governor called on the federal government to review the security strategy, saying it was a decision the government would later regret to have adopted in its effort to secure economic assets in the nation's territorial domain. According to media reports, the federal government had engaged a private security outfit, Tantita Security Services Limited, which is reportedly owned by a former militant leader in the Niger Delta government, Ekumopolo, also known as Tompolo, to secure oil pipelines in the Niger Delta. However, the Bayelsa governor expressed concern that the continued use of unconventional security agents might cause greater security challenges in the near future. He further said the government should rather strengthen the Nigerian Navy to perform its constitutional responsibility. Now, the Chief Whip of the Senate, Muhammad Ali Ndume, has said soldiers and other members of the armed forces fighting insurgency are not well equipped, motivated or empowered to fight the war adequately. The senator stated this in a telephone conversation with newsmen yesterday. He argued that the salaries and other allowances of the troops are grossly insufficient to motivate them in winning the war. Ndume said since President Tinubu has openly told heads of security agencies that he will not accept failure, he needs to revisit the welfare of men and officers fighting insecurity across the country, especially in the northeast. We head on now to Plateau State, where the university in Bokos has announced the resumption of academic activities after the Christmas and New Year break. This was disclosed during a meeting where the Senate also approved the admission list of the first batch of postgraduate students of the university and directed that registration and lectures commence this week. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Matul Malau Bernard, further urged both staff and students of the university to resume immediately in order not to miss any lectures which may affect their academic performance. It will be recorded that some gunmen attacked communities in 3 local government areas of Plateau State, killing over 150 residents. Bokos local government area, which is reported to be housing the state university, is one of the council areas where gunmen attacked 25 communities and killed over 150 persons on Christmas Eve. All right, you're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, few hours after she was suspended by President Bola Tinubu over 585 million naira scandal yesterday, embattled Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Minister Dr. Betta Edu was reportedly denied access to see the president at the presidential villa Abuja. Details of this and more after the break. Do join us again. Right, thank you so much for staying tuned. You're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Now, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party during the February 25, 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, has kicked against what he described as federal government's disturbing pattern of huge borrowing and frivolous spending on non-essential procurement. The former Anambra State governor, who warned that such pattern would soon wreck the economy, also condemned federal government's securitization of ways and means borrowing from the CBN, which is said is against the law, and the Central Bank of Nigeria Act, which stipulates the limit of federal government's borrowing from the CBN not to exceed 5% of the previous year's revenue. In a statement titled Debt and Waste as Economic Policy, Obi said that the current trend of federal government's lavish spending, backed only by equally lavish borrowing, is unsustainable and would wreck the economy in due course. Peter Obi, while tracing the problem from the previous administration, said barely 26 days to the end of its 8-year tenure, the Buhari administration got the Senate to approve a 22.7 trillion naira ways and means borrowing from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And now to other matters. A few hours after the embattled Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Minister, Dr. Betta Edu, got suspended by President Bola Tinubu, she was denied access to see the president at the presidential villa, Abuja, yesterday. Now, the suspension was issued with immediate effect, and it is in line with the president's avowed commitment to uphold the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in the management of the Commonwealth of Nigerians. According to a statement issued yesterday by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, quoted the President as tasking a panel headed by the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance to, among other functions, conduct a comprehensive diagnostic assessment on the financial architecture and framework of the social investment programs with a view to reforming the relevant institutions and programs. Now, while the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, has asked the federal government and anti-graft agencies to fish out the alleged accomplices of the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and her predecessor, Sadia Umar Farouk, Betta Edu had over the weekend described the 585 million naira fraud allegation against her as a plot by mischief makers to undermine her ministry's effort in fighting corruption. Joining us now to discuss this is a public affairs analyst who is also the current National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, Chief Peter Ame. He joins us live via telephone this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Chief. Is this whole scenario a case of what a man can do? What a man can do, a woman can do better?
It's not the same scenario. It's about moral, how they call it, doing the right thing. You know, whether a woman is there, whether a man is there, it's not even the issue. We all talked about, how to make sure that Nigeria works for all, and we work with principle of work ethics, and then work in a way that the interest of Nigeria.
Please, you might have to come again with that question. We just had a break in transmission. We apologize for that.
Okay.
So just stay on the line. Thank you very much, Chief Peter Ahmed. Thank you for your patience. And you were actually responding to a question as to whether or not the scenario we have on ground is a case of what a man can do, a woman can do even better. Let's get your thoughts from there.
I think it's not the same. It's not the case of what a man can do, a woman can do better, because that statement was actually, made in the area of, competence. How credible and competent and how they call it corrupt-free women in power in governance can be, like Dora Queen. So the issue is that this is not that. This is the how they call it display of greed, a display of the fact that what is entrusted under her custody, she's not managing it properly to promote the interest and welfare of Nigerian people.
All right. Now, is there any yardstick to measure the reaction of, the suspended minister and also the counter reactions that have been trailing this development?
Well, there's my own reaction.
Is there any yardstick to measure the reaction of the suspended minister and also the counter reactions that have been trailing this development? Because we understand over the weekend, she made a comment where she said that this is just a plot, by mischief makers to tarnish her image and that of the ministry in the fight against corruption.
No, it's not true, because there's no way in the world where such amount of money will be transferred into a private account and the public will not raise an eyebrow. What you saw is that the Nigerian government must try to look for a way to promote more whistleblowing activities in all the military. And what is happening today is that's why you find out that we don't really believe giving people fish to eat. People must be able to this money sharing without data. This money sharing without a comprehensive data by the military is aiding and abetting corruption. So there must be a way that government must look at proper way to do things. It is our belief that the Suspended Minister could not have carried out that hit the ice alone without the origin of a stronger and perhaps higher-ranking member or members of the present government. The only issues surrounding the piloting and the larger humanitarian affairs ministry, which must be brought in the open, because that ministry has been people, Nigerians are suspecting huge corruption there, because they have been saying they have been giving money to Nigerians, poverty is getting worse, nobody can come out and say yes, we collected such amount of money. This has become a short term in both this government and the previous government. The former minister, even the woman herself, under probe for embezzling close to 40 billion naira in private accounts.
All right.
Before the president fingered.
Let me come in real quick, Chief. Indeed, there is need for others that are, involved in this, indictment or corruption case to also be fished out. But you said something about data. Why has it, why is it really difficult for us to get accurate data, especially when it comes to disbursing, cash or funds to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians?
It is a deliberate thing. There's nothing else that you can say. Look at what when Joe was fingered, the contract that was given to his former company, 480-something million contract just for verification. It was verified the list. Where in the world will 480-something million naira be used? So they say consultancy has no price. That's why they keep on telling us lies. Just to verify the names on that list. That was the only purpose for 400-something million to be paid. So for us, with the refusal not to have a comprehensive data, when we have NIM, when we have BVN that is very comprehensive and very effective, Nigeria has one of the best data collecting system in the banking system all over the world. And yet the government will not find a way to reach out people easily. Then there's a conspiracy of silence within those in government that are benefiting from this case to continue to be in government and impoverish our people. So there's nothing
that actually speaks volumes to think that this is just a clear case of conspiracy.
It is an open clear case of conspiracy. The reason that better do is going to ABSC. We are asking. We're not asking for ASC because if the government which is an executive government will now be the one to ask that better be investigated. That same government can still have political consideration. So we draw that hope. So there should be a proper public investigation. That we go into the probe and make sure that everybody that has been involved in this fake feeding program, in this fake Nigerians must see that justice is being done in that ministry. Because that ministry, as we speak today, people say, after the other ministry, NFPC and co, where pipelines have crude oil been stolen, is the second most corrupt ministry in Nigeria.
One would say that it is really very disturbing, to hear and to even think that a ministry that was set up to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians is now, some sort of money factory where people can embezzle funds. But however, Chief, for a president who had stressed that any minister or member of cabinet who is found wanting or performs below expectations will be fired, can one say that, words are already being matched with action?
For me, I've always said in every open how they call it, conference I go to, the Nigerian bar, the bar Nigeria set for those in government is too low. Nigeria get easily satisfied when somebody come and put a pipe on water, how they call it, they go in their village. It's the same when they're supposed to be pipe on water. The same thing they're trying to say that the president is matching his words with action. There's no words with action except this investigation is run to a conclusive end. And we see that what is supposed to be done is carried out, and people who have stolen this money get the prescribed required punishment as stated in our constitution. So, for us to get it right, and for us to stop lowering the bar for people in government who will continue to misbehave and do whatever they like, we must know that the president has not done anything spectacular that has not been done before, because people do this and never conclude it. Because as I speak to you, being in Nigeria, there are people running up and down to lobby today who are running and saying, no, forgive her, she's a small girl, forgive her, she's young, forgive her, she made mistake. People are saying that. And that's why we're saying that instead of to block this thing with bureaucratic bottlenecks, there should be proper, very well-trained investigators from all over the world that are Nigerians to come and look at the military and unravel the dirtiness, the hidden secret of how our money has been embezzled by public officials.
All right. Now, the economy and Minister of Finance, the coordinating Minister of the economy and also the Minister of Finance has been, called upon to, set up some sort of, comprehensive diagnostic assessment on the financial architecture and framework of the social investment programs with a view to reforming the relevant, institutions and programs. Also, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is also, on its toes as we speak, to unravel, what exactly transpired. Now, judging by the body language of the president, what new conversations do you see, emanating from this indictment?
There's a whole body of institutions that are involved in approving funds. The Minister of Finance is involved. The Accountant General Office is involved. He said he made a recommendation that this money should not be approved. They should make that recommendation public. And a lot of ministries are saying in our public statement that this is how what is being carried out in the ministry. So for me, I do not believe that the government anything good can come from them. What I believe, if they truly want to work, if they truly want to make Nigeria believe in the system, if the president feels that the president carries a legitimacy problem, and if he feels that Nigerians must go along with this government, this inquiry, this public investigation, this how they call it, investigation must be made a public one, so that we can see how the money that has been released to private accounts, more that have been released, and follow the electronic money trail, so that we can have a very high level, how they call it, result from this investigation. For me, I do not believe them, and I don't trust them until I see the end of this investigation, and that nobody is taking action based on political consideration.
All right, Chief, I'm afraid we just have to keep our fingers crossed and wait for new conversations to unfold. Also, we're waiting patiently to see the outcome of this investigation. We hope sincerely that at the end of the day, the trust of Nigerians, will not, get cold than, it is already, because some Nigerians seem to, there seems to be that lack of trust, and, when it comes to believing in the policies of government or whatever it is the government is saying. But thank you so much for your time and analysis, Chief.
Thank you very much. Nigerians have shown so much trust. It's the government that has failed Nigerians. Nigerians have been committed. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Chief Peter Ahmed is a public affairs analyst and also the current National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Parties. And together we've been discussing, the latest developments, that have to do with the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Better Edu, and also the fight against corruption in the country. Our fingers are crossed, and also we'll bring you up to speed with latest update as far as this subject matter is concerned. Thank you so much for watching. I am Omo Ife Semere. Don't forget you can follow us across social media platforms of Politics and Business Television. Good afternoon.